What's up, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and none of the above? This is DL returning you with KSL Season 7 content. We have the Quagsire Division Finals between my good pals Phine and Daveowulf. Just like with the Claw Division, the teams are near each other on the document, so very convenient. So we got Phine rocking the roster Iron Bundle, Corviknight, Tinglu, Terra Saralich, Terra Flamigo, Hatterene, Goodra, Quillfish, Thwackey, Lycanroc Dusk, and Vivillon. Dave got Zamazenta Crowned, Lando T, Non-Terra Regieleki, always got to highlight that one, Slowking, Terra Gengar, Sylveon, Staraptor, Serena, Satitan, Carkol, and Sliggoo. Now, because I know Dave is such a big fan of these videos, and it's the Quagsire Division Finals, I want to go a little in-depth in some of this analysis, take this nice and real slow. So first thing I got to highlight here is that Dave is a little lacking in the Ghost Resist department. He does not have a Dark type outside of Terra, and his normal type is Staraptor. Not the bulkiest Pokemon, weak to Stealth Rock, etc., and usually just kills itself over the course of the game with Brave Brick, and sometimes Double Edge. So, Phine Saralich I think looks very, very threatening here, especially also having access to Fire Stab, to kind of nuke Zamazenta Crowned, which is, quite nice. Yeah, having a very good typing into Zamazenta Crowned as well, even without the Terra, resisting both the fighting and steel moves. Having access to priority to take out things like Gengar and Regieleki. Obviously, Staraptor would be immune to Shadow Sneak. See, I think offensive Saralich can put a lot of work in here. Also, convenient that it resists Fairy, so it can try to take advantage of Sylveon, which is one of Dave's premier defensive Pokemon on his team. Of course, Iron Bundle is always a menace into teams, into anything offensive. Now, Dave does have some pretty good special walls, namely the Sylveon, I think, will definitely come as a means of trying to stave off the Iron Bundle. Slowking, unfortunately, being weak to Freeze Dry, does give it a slightly lesser matchup with the Iron Bundle, though. If it's Assault Vest, I think it can still tank Freeze Dries because it's only a 70 base power move after all. Now, in terms of Dave's threats, the Corviknight's always such a nuisance to deal with defensively. Great matchup into Staraptor, resisting dual stab and being neutral to close combat. Obviously sits on things like Serena, non-belly jumps to Titan, destroys Landorus T. A good matchup into Zamazenta being weak to Body Press, and Corviknight being neutral to fighting and resistant to steel. I could see maybe a Iron Defense Body Press Zamazenta coming here as a means of taking out Corviknight. But yeah, I think Corv is looking like a huge nuisance. Off the rip, the only things that can really threaten it without boosting it would be Regieleki and maybe a Thunderbolt Gengar. See, a Corv looks like a big issue. Reggie does look very threatening, I think, because there's not really a great switch into Volt Switch other than the Tinglu. Because things like Goodra or Thwackey could be very exploitable for the right Pokemon to come in. Like, you don't want to get Volt turned by like a Regieleki Staraptor core. I do think Corviknight would be very likely to be Rocky Helmet in this matchup, because a lot of the Pokemon that have poor matchups into it would be you turning out on it, things like the Lando T and the Staraptor. But yeah, the Tinglu, I think, is going to be a bit of a nuisance early game for Dave, is what I would predict here. Dave does not have the best hazard removal. I think it's like Rapid Spin, Serena, and Carkol. And I guess Regieleki as well. So he's got a few spinners, but they aren't great spinners. I guess he's non-Terra Aleki though, so it's less of an opportunity cost for his Aleki to be like a supportive Pokemon. Speaking of support Regieleki, Dave does have a premier defogger in Corviknight if it's screens Reggie, though I think offensively Reggie can be a very big asset here. But he needs some way to deal with the Tinglu, because it's non-Terra Aleki, so it has a very difficult time getting through this. So if he's like especially defensive Tinglu, It's going to be all about keeping this thing healthy, because otherwise Reggie, like, he kind of destroys his team. You look at Pokemon like Iron Bundle, Corviknight, Flamigo, Quillfish, all these do not like Reggie. And Reggie's so fast that it's still faster than things like +1 Lycanroc Dusk and Vivillon and such. Scarf Flamigo. Flamigo, I think, could definitely put in some work here. Having access to Scrappy, making it immune to Intimidate, makes Landorus T less of a consistent answer to it. Also means that Gengar still takes quite a bit from close combat, does resist it on account of the poison typing. And there are a couple of other fighting resists in Slowking and Sylveon here, but neither of them are the most bulky on the physical side. So I could potentially see Flamigo here. So I think these top 4 should all come for Phine. The Bundle, the Corviknight, the Tinglu, and the Ceruledge. In terms of what comes next, depends on what he prioritizes. I could definitely see maybe like a specially defensive Goodra coming to add another layer of support for the Tinglu, which would be pressured through Regieleki and Gengar to have to come in repeatedly. Goodra can try to take some of that off of Tinglu's plate as a secondary special wall. Lycanroc Dusk, I think, is kind of terrifying once the Zamazenta gets weakened. And of course, Tough Claw's boost at close combat still hurts Zama quite a bit. And also gives him very strong priority in Accelerock to deal with things like Gengar, Staraptor, and Regieleki. So if I had to predict a 6 for Phine, it would probably be those 6. In terms of the other Pokemon, Hatterene, I mean, Fairy plus Psychic is quite good against this team, actually, because the Steel is Zamazenta, which is actually neutral to both of those. And of course, the other Fairy resists are Carkol and Gengar, neither of which appreciate Psychic moves. So I could potentially see something like a Calm Mind, a Psyshock, Draining Kiss sort of set from a Hatterene could be very useful. I don't think that Nuzzle would necessarily be the strongest move here, though the 4th moveset on Hatterene is often very flexible. In terms of what else Dave could bring, we look at Sylveon's matchup. I think we could definitely see especially defensive, like invested in Spadef Sylveon this game to just try to give some more tools and flexibility around the Iron Bundle and things like the Goodra as well. Protect can also be very helpful against things like Flamigo, which are often choiced, but it can be kind of scary into things like a potentially Sword Stance, like a Rock Dusk. In terms of what the Gengar would be, so the Tinglu resists Gengar's dual stab, but it is Terra Gengar. So it could potentially be something like, I imagine he makes it so he's no longer weak to Shadow Sneak. So potentially like a Terra Fairy Gengar with Dazzling Gleam I could see here as a way to maximize damage on Tinglu without risking the move Focus Miss, of course. Yeah, I think Gengar is definitely the most annoying Pokemon for Phine, and yeah, the Tinglu is going to take a lot of hits here. Especially, I think what could be interesting would be bringing a physical or maybe mixed Regieleki to try to maximize damage on Tinglu to try to overwhelm that and path away for a Gengar victory. In terms of the lower guys, so Titan. Without Snow, I don't think Titan can do much here on account of Iron Bundle being a 4x Ice Resist, so eats Ice Shards quite comfortably. Also, Priority, that's super effective from Accelerock, Lycanroc Dusk. So I don't think Titan will come. Phine's team's not super hazard heavy, besides like the Quillfish, so I don't think the Serena will come. There's pretty poor type matchups into most of Phine's good Pokemon, I'd say. I mean, Serena in this generation is not the best, especially pre-DLC, which this is pre-DLC. Yeah, I think we'll probably see like ID Press Zama, maybe like a defensive Landorus T, maybe like a physical Regieleki, Spadef Sylveon, Terra Fairy Gengar. I don't know what else he would bring. Probably maybe like the Slowking, potentially Staraptor. I don't think these guys really come. Definitely don't think Carkol comes into potential Hatterene because yeah, free Magic Bombs. Carkol doesn't really exert a lot of pressure to actually do damage. All right, Let's go to team preview. So we got Dave bringing the roster of Zamazenta Crown, Regieleki, Sylveon, Staraptor, Slowking, and Landorus T. So very interesting, he actually benches the Gengar, which you were highlighting as a potential threat. Maybe he thought that the Ting-Lu was something he couldn't work through. In terms of what Phine brings, we do see the Ceruledge, the Lycanroc, Goodra, Corviknight, Ting-Lu, and Iron Bundle. So in terms of things, yeah, he brought pretty much what we expected, I'd say. Yeah, the Lycanroc Dusk makes a lot of sense. Yeah, what you're talking about. Accelerock is very valuable here. And it's still able to do a lot of damage to Zamazenta with this Tough Claws boosted close combat. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Terra types, because this is Terra preview. So Dave did not bring his Gengar, which is his Terra captain. And for Phine, the Ceruledge appears to be Terra Ground. So that gives him extra leeway against the Regieleki to have a secondary ground type. So that's something to consider. In terms of what else he'd be trying to dodge, I mean, he becomes resistant to Stealth Rock rather than weak. So that's a perk. In terms of other things, why would he want to be Terra Ground? Poison resistance into Gengar. Though I guess Ghost is already poison resistant, but that is another thing that he gains. Yeah, and I guess also resistant to Stone Edge from Zamazenta Crown, which would be the likely coverage move to hit Ceruledge in its base typing. So I think Phine won't be super committed to using Terastization on Ceruledge, unless he's worried about Stealth Rock. But we'll try to use it flexibly, try to play mind games around dodging certain potentially super effective moves. So you see Orlando T-Lead into Lycanroc Dusk. So this can mean a lot of things. This could be like a suicide lead Lycanroc Dusk, though based off of the fact that he's got 3 bulky mons in the back, I wouldn't expect that sort of style from the Lycanroc, unless maybe this is like an offensive Goodra and offensive Corviknight. From Dave's side, I think leading with Landorus T makes some sense because it gives you flexibility to pivot out of bad matchups. And he does appear to have sufficient bulk to handle the Iron Bundle lead possibility. And what I'm thinking is that this might be potentially Scarf Lando T, planning on U-turning on a Bundle, because I don't think Bundle would be choice Scarf in this matchup. I think it enjoys the flexibility of changing moves. And I don't think you would lead Speed Booster Bundle. And obviously you would know if it was Speed Booster. Alright, so we see the Intimidate go off, as I go into the Corviknight makes a lot of sense. Landorus just goes for the Stealth Rock. Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. Landorus T favored in this matchup, especially with the Intimidate off, and this was being a non-Terra Lycanroc Dusk. So Landorus goes for the Smackdown. Yeah, this is pre-DLC, so no gravity. As I mentioned, the Corviknight goes for like a Defog here. Yep, just get rid of Stealth Rock. We do see leftovers. So that's good information for Dave that this is not Rocky Helmet, so we can freely use things like U-turn with the Staraptor and Orlando T, and doesn't have to worry about taking the chip on like a Rapid Spin with Regieleki, because if you die to the helmet, you actually don't get the hazard removal off. Alright, so we see a pivot into the Ting-Lu on just another Stealth Rock. I believe Stealth Rock has more PP than Defog. Yes, it does, so that is a favorable exchange. Based off of this information, I'd say this is not a setup Corviknight, because I feel like if you were like a bulk up set or a Iron Defense set, you'd probably go for it there, because Stealth Rock Lando is kind of food for that. Though I guess he was smacked down actually. So he was afraid of the Earthquake. My bad, I retract all of that. Forgot about the Smackdown. So yeah, with Smackdown Landorus T, nothing really appreciates an Earthquake outside of that, so this was the best Pokemon to take, potential EQ. Dave predicts the Ting-Lu to come in and just gets his rocks back up, prioritizing Stealth Rock into potentially non-boots wearing Rock Weak Pokemon like Iron Bundle and Ceruledge over guaranteed damage on something, which yeah, this Ting-Lu is not important to get chip on, I'd say, for his team, other than liberating this Regieleki, though Tinglu is so bulky, it's a mon you have to kind of trade into. So in this situation, I think Phine probably accepts the hazards and gets up his own hazards here, and forgets about defogging, or he potentially goes for a Ruination. And Lander is T. So Earthquake is definitely one of the moves here. For the last move, I could see it being Taunt for sure. I think if it has Taunt, it will go for it this turn. Otherwise, we could potentially see something like a U-turn in this situation, or Earthquake for damage. But I think Taunt would make a lot of sense on this set. So the other ground resists on, what you call it, Phine's roster would be Thwacky and Vivillon, and I guess Flamigo as well. And yeah, two of those are relying on immunities, so the Smackdown would sort of deal with that. You see, it is U-turn, so yeah, Earthquake last and no Taunt. As you see, Phine just gets rocks up, and it is indeed leftovers. As you see that the Slowking either was faster, or this thing is clicking Whirlwind this turn. Predicting Phine to switch, evidently. So he gets the Alecki out. And if I'm not mistaken, okay, so it is not Boots on Lando. And it was indeed the Whirlwind. So Dave does have some pretty good tools into potential Ruination from Tinglu with his Regenerator Slowking as well. And kind of stomach those that are being so devastating. And he has reliable recovery on things like Sylveon and Slowking as well to stomach those. See, Alecki is in. Alecki is now gonna probably switch out again. So he goes for the Ruination, and yeah, Slowking comes in hard on that. See, it is not. Yeah, it's Heavy Duty Boots, Slowking. Just goes for the Surface. This is a pitiful 28 to this Tinglu. I see why Phine didn't switch out earlier. And he gets the good pull into the Staraptor, forcing it to take Stealth Rock damage. So in this position, we know it's leftovers and Corv, and therefore not Helmet. So I expect Dave to go for something like a U-turn here. This could potentially be a Final Gambit Staraptor would be actually quite interesting to try to trade with the Corviknight, which could be a nuisance to Pokemon like Sylveon, Landorus T, and potentially Zamazenta as well. But with him already having taken the Stealth Rock damage, I'm not sure if he would go for that, if he had it. So see, yep, just a U-turn. Staraptor comes in back in at like 51. You see Whirlwinds into the Sylveon, which reveals leftovers. So Tinglu, doing Tinglu things. We're just gonna sit there, get up hazard, spam Whirlwind, spam Ruination, and get chip on everything. So Corv comes in on the Sylveon. See, it does not have mystical power here. Sylveon fires up a Wish. Expect Corv to maybe go for a defog here. He actually goes for a Reflect. So that's very interesting. It's Reflect on leftovers Corviknight, not Light Clay. As the Alecki comes in. Okay, so this is an interesting position because Alecki doesn't mind the Tinglu coming in here because it could go for a Rapid Spin. But the Ceruledge does not love coming in on the Alecki to spin block, especially if it's not running Boots, because they'll take the Stealth Rock damage. And yeah, would not appreciate an electric move. So kind of an interesting 50-50 here. Yeah, Dry Pass is allowed. So he does go for the Rapid Spin. Phine tries to play it safe and goes into the Tinglu. So he goes for the Ruination as the Slowking comes back onto the field. And it reveals he is Heavy Duty Boots on his bundle, and he takes this as an opportunity to get the bundle in. Sylveon on the Freeze Dry does 20. Ooh, nasty freeze. This reveals Flip Turn. So yeah, probably Hydro and Ice Beam for the last two moves. Could be Encore over Ice Beam, I suppose, but definitely should have Hydro Pump on account of it not learning Surf. So Lycanroc Dust comes in, taking advantage of the freeze. So in this position, I think both of them are sort of still in the information collecting stage. Playing it safe, trying to feel out what their opponent has brought so they can ascertain what their win condition is, how they can set up Pokemon for victory here. Yeah, the Staraptor, getting rid of those rocks is actually huge for Staraptor because it can get a lot of momentum on something like the Iron Bundle because he knows it's not like a Scarf Bundle or anything like that, and it can definitely threaten it with a lot of damage and get a good U-turn. And the Ting-Lu getting down to 57, he needs this thing down because once this Ting-Lu goes down, Phine has to tear his Ceruledge or Volt Switch, becomes really obnoxious for Pokemon like the Corviknight and the Bundle. Because yeah, it becomes a momentum move that threatens a KO if you don't switch, which is extremely obnoxious. So Sylveon remains frozen. To the Lando on the Stone Edge, does a clean 34 through the Intimidate. It is in fact Leftovers Lander's T. It goes for the U-turn on the Corv. As I mentioned, I thought this would be a Helmet Corv to try to punish some of these U-turns. But yeah, and he doubles into Landorus, predicting the Ting-Lu switch, which does in fact hit the field. But this is kind of an interesting position because it should be Earthquake last move. So best thing he can do here, if he stays in, is to just click Earthquake. But I'm going to guess Dave will click U-turn because it'll do serviceable chip damage to the Ting-Lu, and we'll catch the Corviknight switching in. I'm going to guess that Phine's probably just going to fire off a Stealth Rock here. Yep, U-turn for 23. Into the Raptor, predicting Ting-Lu to not... actually, I guess even a Ruination's not a big issue, because I mean it's Staraptor. And last move is probably Earthquake. Let's see, the Phine elects to eat the Brave Bird, and the Ting-Lu is just barely alive after Stealth Rock if he stays in. Okay, and the Ting-Lu goes down. I don't think I agree with this decision from Phine. I mean, I guess after it's at the 8%, it's gonna die to like Rapid Spin or something from Regieleki after Rocks. But I feel like, yeah, he was scared of the Vortex. He didn't want to go Corv and get U-turned down again. But yeah, this is huge for Dave, this Ting-Lu going down. Regieleki looks very scary now. Alright, so you see Lycanroc Dust comes in, makes a lot of sense. Threatens the Oko. He does just go for the Accelerock, which does 32 to Sylveon. And respecting the potential to Thaw, as he does Thaw, fire off a Wish. You see his leftover Ceruledge. So I don't think Ceruledge will Terra in this position because it appreciates the Fairy resistance at this moment. I'd expect him to probably go for a Sword Stance here. It'll be interesting with the Wish in the air. Sword Stance would punish Sylveon trying to protect here to get its health back. If the Sylveon does not get its health back though, the Iron Bundle becomes a very scary Pokemon to deal with. So I think that's probably what we're going to see is Protect and SD. The other option would be Sylveon trying to pass the Wish to something to get a more aggressive switch in. Something like the Landorus T, even the Zamazenta. Because with the +1 defense, Bitter Braid still won't kill. But I don't think that the Zamazenta is actually going to threaten it too much, because then the Ceruledge would tear it into a ground type. But I guess that's a 50-50 thing, because yeah, if you're going to Stone Edge on the base typing, or Heavy Slam on the Terra ground. So yeah, I'd expect SD and Protect to come out here. As he passes into Lando T, which is, yeah, safer than the Zamazenta, makes more sense. As the Ceruledge does in fact go for the SD. So he's at +1 here. He has Terra. I expect he probably Terras on this turn, which gives him some extra leeway against the Regieleki as well, so I think it makes a lot of sense. Unless Lando T could U-turn to try to scout the Terra, try to bait the Terra, potentially, though I think Terra definitely is favorable to Phine at this stage. Or you could Quake for damage. Ceruledge, I think, is clicking Bitter Blade. It seems like a no drawback play here. See the Terra into the ground as he goes for Bitter Blade. He is faster than Lando T, and he gets up to full prior to the Quake. And he activates the weak armor. So Ceruledge now +1, +2. This next Bitter Blade's going to heal him for a lot too, because the Lando T was still at 44. And in terms of priority on Dave's team, I'm only seeing Extreme Speed Reggie as a potential, which you kind of have to be. That'd be an interesting bring. Potentially, predicting Ceralides to terrestrialize into something other than Ghost, because obviously it'd be immune to Extreme Speed prior to that. But Regieleki just kind of has a lot of move slots when you can't Sarah to do whatever you want with. So yeah, should be another Bitter Blade coming out here. So Dave denies the healing by sacking the Staraptor to rocks. That's actually a very smart play. I did not notice the Staraptor's HP here. And then the Zama comes in. So Ledge is still at 52 because it didn't get the heal off. So I think, at the -1 defense, the Zamazenta should smack this. Now the question is, but the Ceralides will be faster because of the weak armor? Not quite sure how much this will heal. So I think, obviously we're going to see Blade and Slam here. Blade does 70, +1 versus +1. And Slam Okos. So I think this is an offensive Zamazenta, and that Ceralides got blown back. Bundle in as he pumps on the incoming Slowking. Yeah, the Sylveon's at 46, so there wasn't a super safe switch, but I guess the Slowking is out of freeze dry range still at 61. So the bundle switches out, fearing potentially like a Psyshock or something. Or a Thunder Wave actually would have been really scary. As it goes Gudra on the Psychic. So Flamethrower is predicting the Zamazenta, but Slowking fearing nothing. Because the Gudra, no, it's not Boots. So it could have been Specs, but he does not fear the Specs. And he just chillies into Zamazenta. Corviknight is healthy, but Corviknight is Defog Reflect, probably Roost. It might not be Body Press Corv, so it might be the strongest thing it can hit it with is Brave Bird. The Zamazenta is looking very scary, very strong anti-offense Pokemon. Probably just see a fighting move come out here. Yep, CC takes out the Gudra. Bundle in. It does have the defense boost from the snow as well now, so that's kind of an interesting point. Yeah, Freeze Dry would kill the Zamazenta at -1 defense there. Sylveon trying to stall the snow with this Protect and stay out of Freeze Dry range. Yeah, he does in fact have the Ice Beam. Snow is over, Regieleki in, and free electric move. Just goes for the Volt Switch, takes out the Corviknight, and this is looking like the ball is going to be in Dave's court. Just lets the Slowking go down. Regieleki comes back. Kills Bundle with Rapid Spin. That's a fun little flex. And should be able to survive Accelerock. Does not even go for it. KOs the Lycanroc Dusk with Volt Switch. Well, congratulations to Daveowulf to winning the Kirby Street League Season 7 Quagsire Division, which is our top division. Like I hoped for, actually I believe, pretty much guarantee we have a new champion in the Kirby Street League because none of the previous champions participated this season. But a little spoiler for you, I think some of them will be back for next season. So we'll see if the interim champion Daveowulf can retain his crown in Kirby Street League Season 8. So yeah, GG's, well played to Phine, well played to Dave. Thank you to everyone who's watched this video, everyone who's watched any of the videos covering this season, and a huge thank you to everyone who's participated in the Kirby Street League, spectated in it, helped anybody build, been an admin, all that. Everyone who's made this community very, very special and dear to my heart. Alright, take care, y'all.